So, starting back up where we left off, I think we're on poem number 3 from my book, in case you're um, new here, first time, excuse me, seeing a video from me. My first book, maybe someday, of poetry I wrote when I was 17 and 18. Um, I'm going through and sharing each one by one, and then talking a little bit about the story and breaking down um, a bit of the poem, like line by line, sort of giving some further context into it and sort of what I was trying to say with each part of this. And so last time we did live less, and now today we're going to be doing poem number 3, Scarred by the Scarred. As you can see right there. So I'll start by just reading it, and then we will kind of get into talking about it a bit more. So here is Scarred by the Scarred. Scarred by the scarred, scar the unscarred. Wonder how far this hate of ours can burn in our hearts until it's all gone too far. How could I come this far for it to all fall apart? So many questions, questioning my questions, so many important things that nobody mentions, so many terrible actions made with innocent intentions, so many answers that don't answer our questions. Scarred by the scarred, scar the unscarred. Wonder how far this hate of ours can burn in our scars until it all falls apart. And then where can we start? Scarred by the scarred, scar the unscarred. Wonder how far this hate of ours can burn in our scars until it all falls apart and we can make a new start. So, I like to give you a moment to pause if you need to kind of review over that and kind of get your own thoughts about it, with anything that stands out to you personally or any interpretation you have about it. And of course, if you'd like, of course, your choice. But if you want to keep that to yourself, that's fine. But one of the big reasons for me with sharing this is because I like being able to see what other people sort of interpret my writing as, and seeing what kinds of things other people connect with, and if there are parts of my story and the things I say that can connect with others in sometimes the same way and sometimes completely different ways. Like the same thing can be interpreted and connect in completely different ways with different people, and I think that's such a cool thing. So if, I would love, of course, if you would like to share any thoughts you have in the comments, and I'll be, of course, taking a look at that. And so now we'll get into a bit of talking about it, what the story behind it for me is, and sort of what my intentions were writing this. So overall, like the main theme of it, I guess, is about like trauma and burdens and whatever kinds of stuff like that being sort of passed on between people. And there are kind of two main ways I looked at this. One with like sort of like generational trauma kind of stuff. I mean, just today, as I'm recording this, I listened to "Growing Sideways" by Noah Kahan for the first time, and I know there's a lyric in there about something like blaming still being mad at his parents for the things their parents did to them. And I mean, that lyric really stood out to me as I listened to the song. And of course, I wrote this way before I ever heard the song. I just heard that for the first time today. But I think what that lyric said there is kind of a really quick and simple summary of the idea behind um, some of this, where um, like scarred by the scarred, like you could say like your grandparents had certain scars with them, like metaphorical scars, usually like ways they were treated or things that happened to them and all kinds of stuff like that, that kind of developed them into the person they are. And then they ended up passing that down onto like your parents, um, and kind of continued that same pattern of behaviors or feelings or traumas and whatever it is. And then that gets passed down to you again, and it just keeps on passing down over and over. As someone's scarred, then they pass down that scar to the unscarred. And then the other way I kind of look at it too is not necessarily like through family, but through people, typically like in bullying and kinds of situations where someone is um, treated in a certain way that impacts them in a certain way and makes them behave in these usually negative ways, and then they go and bully and abuse other people um, because of things that have happened to them and whatever, and then pass it on to other people and make um, and just keep passing on those burdens to other people, and then they become the new bully, and because of these things that happen to them from others, and that cycle keeps repeating. So that's kind of the main idea with this and the topic I was trying to explore a bit with it. Um, so yeah, scarred by the scarred, scar the unscarred, just that being passed down. Wonder how far this hate of ours can burn in our hearts until it's all gone too far. Just kind of thinking about um, how far are we going to let that pattern, that cycle, keep going, to just continue to burn in our hearts and hurt us over and over, and allow it to hurt other people we care about and people who are innocent and don't deserve to be scarred in these ways. How long are we just going to let that go before it like just is too much and like goes too far? And then thinking about my own ways where I've um, been scarred, kind of in these sort of cycles, then wondering how could I come this far for it to all fall apart? Because I was at the time trying to cope and deal with a lot of both of those sides, with the like family and like bullying kind of things at the same time, and feeling like how have I come this far in life and been free from these burdens and scars and whatever, for it to all just fall apart now and be overwhelmed with all these scars and stuff. And then so many questions, questioning my questions. Just kind of the way that made me feel, and I'm sure makes other people feel, where um, it's, I mean, being treated in these ways and having these things passed down and all that can cause a lot of like mental struggles and whatever, and make you question all kinds of stuff and try to make sense of what's happening to you and other people and all this stuff, and just feeling like your questions are questioning your questions. Like it just becomes a whole new cycle and so overwhelming, and so many terrible actions made with innocent intentions, I feel like, is a very important line from here, where um, oftentimes, like just with family, for example, like I said, like that parent who was treated badly by their parents or whatever it was, they, a lot of times it seems like parents want to do like better than their parents did before, and so they're trying to do good and have innocent intentions with their kids, but often because of that trauma and whatever that has come from them, they have a hard time doing that and often end up making terrible actions despite their innocent intentions, and don't mean to do wrong, don't want to do wrong, but it, it still ends up coming out in the end. Um, and so many answers that don't answer our questions is one of my favorite lines there. Because it's like, um, I don't know, that's a hard one for me to explain, but it just, I don't know, it makes sense to me and really means something because it's like, um, I feel like at the time, because of that, I was, um, people around me could see that I was struggling a lot with things and would try to give me these answers to why I was feeling this way or how I can um, kind of feel better and whatever. And it just, all of their solutions never answered what I was trying to solve and never really fixed anything. And it made the whole thing just all the more hopeless and isolating for me. And yeah, so that's kind of what that's about. And then, of course, the last two stanzas pretty much repeat the same as the first, but just with slight changes. Um, the main thing is just in those last lines of, and then where can we start? Um, Feeling like after we let this hate burn in our scars and it all falls apart, then what do we do from there? Like when it all crumbles to um, like everyone being scarred and the cycles just um, I mean, succeeding in a way is kind of how I can make the most sense of it. Like it making um, that being passed on to like everyone, and all just falls apart. Everyone's scarred, and then like where do we go from there? Like we feeling like we can't just let that happen. Um, and then finally, in the last one, it changes to um, I mean, that last one's kind of from a more pessimistic view, and then in the end, it's and we can make a new start. Trying to be a little bit more hopeful that these cycles can be broken, and we can make a new start. We can do better for ourselves and for others, and make a new start. So um, that's all I have with "Scarred by the Scarred." Hopefully, you enjoyed it and found something you enjoyed in it yourself, and um, hopefully, I'll see you next time. And as always, remember that we are all broken and we're just arranging the pieces. Thank you.